The Last of Us Part 2 is dark, and I don't mean dark like you're expecting it to be. I can honestly say I've never seen some of the things in The Last of Us Part 2 in a game before. In fact, I'm not sure I've seen some of them anywhere. The brutality, desperation, and darkness of the human soul is borne out for all to see in pixel-perfect format, and in absolute truth, it's going to be too much for some to take. I won't spoil the story, but I will say I've never felt so conflicted over something a game has shown me or asked me to do. I was pressing buttons and not wanting to press the buttons, and there are multiple moments that left me desperate, begging for anything but that to happen, but it does. Because it's Naughty Dog, and it's The Last of Us, and it's bleak, unforgiving, and, yes, dark. What Naughty Dog has achieved here is kind of revolutionary. Like all sequels, it betters itself from a gameplay standpoint, but unlike many, it takes risks, ones that mostly, but crucially not entirely, pay off. The Last of Us Part 2 reminds me that games are not constrained by things like real cameras, and can go anywhere and show anything. This game proves we can do anything in a game. We are not limited by anything other than imagination. But it is a game though, so combat has improved, though if you couldn't stand it before, I don't think it's going to completely change your mind. Everything feels weighty and like it has a realistic, punchy feel to it. Your options are plentiful, and it may be my memory, but there feels like more guns, more tools, and more upgrades than ever before. Stealth feels like a genuine option, and there are moments where you can bypass entire combat scenarios by being quiet and sneaking through. When you do get your guns out though, it feels superb. The shotgun has more beef behind it than a butcher's back entrance. I could never decide which handgun I preferred, the slower one-shot fan's choice, or a silenced pistol that lets me pop heads off the bad guys or infected. Ranged combat is an option, as you can upgrade your tools at a workbench just like in the first game to add a scope, improve stability, reload time, etc. It feels great, and every option feels viable. Take one section for example, where I was on the run from human enemies and found myself in the ruins of a tunnel housing multiple crashed trains. The foreboding darkness, festooned with dust particles that are as beautiful as they are distracting, is broken by the torchlight of incoming soldiers, and I'm wondering how I'm going to get Ellie out of this in one piece. Then a sound in my right ear piece makes me feel 10 times worse. There's clickers down here. Hiding in the front carriage of a train, the idea dawns on me that I can throw a bottle towards the soldiers, and the clickers might do some of the heavy lifting for me. It's not the most highbrow concept a game has ever had, to pit your foes against one another, but that it worked so beautifully was a genuine wow moment. The numbers thinned, I stealthed my way round, shanking infected and human with a glorious abandon, the dust lifting as I breached back to the surface world, and Seattle's lush, overgrown foliage, a welcome sight indeed. Games have for the longest time struggled to get eyes right, but The Last of Us Part 2 nails it and then some. I've never seen emotion detailed so richly in a game, just by the welling up of eyes and the quivering of a lip. The rage in Ellie's eyes is at times palpable. Her hatred is felt in your cold, sweating palms as you push buttons. There's one scene that even made me question whether I wanted to go on. Push square to swing the bat. You'll know it when you get there. I pushed it, and again, and again. I wanted them to feel Ellie's pain. The visuals then are mind-blowing. Richly detailed shops and buildings make for a livable, but importantly, believable rendition of Seattle that is now just destroyed beauty. Puzzles that require searching the environment add to the feel that this place doesn't exist because you're travelling through it. Indeed, there are sections similar to Uncharted 4 that have mini hubs within the world, offering a map you can explore and check off as you do so. In fact, The Last of Us Part 2 feels akin to Uncharted 4 and Lost Legacy mixed into one gigantic package. Sure, it's high budget in terms of how it looks, but you get the feeling it matters to Naughty Dog that their world feels real. Special mention to the audio team as well then. I've long said that audio in games is an underappreciated medium, but across the board, from the voice acting to the music, to the sound effects, to the incidental moments you won't remember in 10 years, but that make everything just that little bit more atmospheric and real feeling. It is spellbinding to play with a pair of headphones on. In fact, so good is the audio that one moment made me jump more than any game has ever done before, and it was all down to the sound. The clickers are ferocious sounding, terrifying even, and some of the new enemies use sound to such enormous effect that the fear is delivered via the ears, not the eyes. And as for that soundtrack, well, it's better than the first game. There, I said it. It's very clear from the offset that there are multiple stories the developer wanted to tell here, multiple characters who all have lives and emotions, drives and desires, but in telling such a large story, the game is over 25 hours long by the way, the team slightly overstretched themselves. I won't spoil it here and thus I can't explain truly why, but there are consequences to actions that feel like they aren't quite paid off. For the record, I completely understand why certain decisions were made here, but after playing through an adventure that tested my actual resolve, my own will to push through the darkness, as the final credits rolled, I just felt ever so slightly that the conclusion of the story was a bit of a cop-out, and that maybe the team weren't quite sure how to actually end the journey. There are things here that will leave you stunned. You will put the controller down and wonder, can they do this in a game? And then when you've gotten over that, Naughty Dog will up the ante again, and again, and again. You will see things and go places emotionally that you never thought a game could go. It will bend you to its will and change your feelings as you play. You will feel anger, sadness, elation, fear, and everything a truly magnificent piece of art should elicit from you. And make no mistake, The Last of Us Part 2 is art. And despite my misgivings about its conclusion and that it maybe, just maybe, outstays its welcome, it's still an absolute masterpiece. Thanks so much for watching our video review of The Last of Us Part 2. Make sure you head over to godisageek.com for more content just like this, and stay tuned to our channel. Hit the subscribe button and the bell button to never miss another video. Tell us if you're excited for this in the comments, and if you really enjoyed it, maybe throw us a like and tell your friends. Thank you so much for watching, and I can't wait to hear what people think of this game. Speak to you soon. Bye for now.